Hey guys, Kit here, Burn One, Shadowverse Evolved channel as always. Paragon of the Colosseum is about to come out. Here is probably one of the most anticipated decks, Rune decks coming up here. So have fun with this set review. I'm joined with my good buddy here, Presha. You want to say hi?
Howdy.
We'll just jump right into it then, really quick. Here's the rating key. Pause if you need to, but we're moving on. All right, our first card here, the big menace, the scary boogeyman for quite a while now. Kuon, founder of I don't know how to say that. On Miodo. Yeah. This card costs X less play point. X less to play, where X equals the total number of spells or on Myoji cards in your cemetery. Has fanfare if there isn't a celestial Shikigami token on your field. Summon a celestial Shikigami token, and then activate, engage this card, select up to 2 Shikigami followers on your field and give them Storm. This card is a 15 cost, but as you see, it's going to go down to basically 0. And then 5/5 follower. And the card that it does summon here is the Celestial Shikigami, which is a 4-drop 4/5 token that has Aura and a Shikigami trait. I mean, I feel like we've been talking about this forever. This is kind of like the entire archetype for like what the next 3-ish, 4-ish sets for Rune.
Yeah, I would say like 2 sets because it gets
Yeah.
hit at the end of Idolmaster. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, I think this card's really strong. It's an S. I don't know if I had this discussion with you or Skaz, but um, I think this is a really disappointing design to me, the card design, because in digital it was sort of this like going back to how it used to be where spell boost was like a sort of board based deck where it's like, hey, I'm playing all this stuff and I'm playing this whole package or this whole thing on turn 6, and that was like what you wanted to hit. It was like, okay, turn 5, it was the high roll, but turn 6 you get all the stuff. I'm sort of disappointed that it's in physical. It's basically just an OTK because honestly, if you play this guy down for 6, it's not that good. Like it's just 5/5 and a 4/5, and it's gonna get blown up. And we you guys talked badly about Garyu. It's just worse Garyu. But of course, combined with Dimension Shift, this card is absurd. And yeah, it's the new what was his name? Flaming Golem?
Flaming. Yeah, I think it was Flaming Golem or
Something like that. But the new,
Flame
9
Destroy
mana
Golem.
7/7. Yeah. That is like the hey, I need this in my hand. I need a couple of these in my hand. I'm going to play them out, and I'm going to D-shift, and I'm going to win. I think since this is like the key card, we can sort of talk a little bit about like the deck. I think the deck is very when it feels good, it's going to feel really insane. And I think when it feels bad, it's going to be one of those decks where it's like, man, I think I could have like had a different card in here and it would have been good. But you only have 40 cards. You can't prepare for everything. And I
Yeah.
think that the deck building um, quest for this deck is going to be, which deck do I want to target? Do I want to target the mirror? Do I want to target fairy? Or do I want to target, some rogue decks? And I think there's options in this set for all of those options. And it's just the, hey, what do I want to lose to? And also, do I get lucky, and not
Yeah.
run into that.
The one thing I don't, whenever D Shift becomes a very powerful deck because of things like this, I sometimes I don't like that, but I think it's also pre-built into like the whole idea of Shadowverse. They always want the game to end around the same time every time they release a set. So like this is the ticking time bomb that when you sit down against Rune and like or in the meta in general is like when you build a deck, you have to be able to either win the game or stop your opponent from winning the game around turn 7, maybe turn 8 the latest, because that's usually when Kuon goes off and it gets to do kind of the OTK. And the thing is, there are like some decently good followers in this deck now that they still play because as the text reads, it doesn't have to only be spells in the grave to lower the cost of Kuon, which means Rune, which traditionally didn't have a lot of like followers they would just randomly play out, this deck can do that, which means you are going to get chipped occasionally and you are going to have to control the board a little bit more than you did before, even though usually Rune is the deck that's like playing board control until they get to their OTK turn.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I kind of agree. I think I remember you guys having that conversation. I think it was with Skaz, and I made it towards. I came in during the tail end of that
Oh yeah,
conversation.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I agree. Like for the for the paper version of this card, it would definitely feels like it's poorly designed in general, especially
Yeah.
comparing to the digital version. Because I did play this deck a lot in the digital version. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Because it becomes just new, it's just a better version of the flame golem, like that's it, and
yeah. They just gave it a
it's
better kill potential, essentially. But yeah,
yeah. Do
all
we
right.
rate the token or no?
Nah, we'll skip on the token.
All right, Mysterium Magic Founder, 3 mana, 2/4, Evo for 1. While this card's on your field, your academic followers cost 1 less to play. Fanfare, reveal an academic follower in your hand. Select an enemy follower on the field and deal it 2 damage. On Evolve, has that same text of while this card's on your field, your academic followers cost 1 less to play. And then when you evolve it, it selects an enemy follower on the field and deals it 3 damage. This is one of my favorite cards in the whole game. I love this card so much. I just wish it was like a little bit better. I wish it was just like slightly, maybe do 3 when you reveal. But I really, really, really like this card. I think it's a lot of what Rune was missing, and it's a lot of what Rune sort of its alternate strategies was missing, where um, basically it's better Dragon Warrior, but if you it allows you to deck build in certain ways where you're putting some of these cards that we've been sprinkled throughout, the history
Yeah,
of the paper game into the deck. So there's a couple ones that stand out immediately that are academic cards. Heinlein is the biggest one. You could definitely play her and Heinlein in a spell boost Kuon deck, and you have this early game removal Dragon Warrior that's better. And then your Heinlein costs 1 less, and then also if you have the Heinlein in hand, you can reveal it and deal 2 damage, kill a fairy or something. There's a couple other ones. Felice is another one that I think is really interesting. That's of course the 4 mana 4/5 Earthright gain Storm, and then spell boost 7, deal 4 damage to the board. I think that's another interesting tech card in Kuon. And the last one that I think I people might overlook is the Emilu, which was the 2 mana 1/2 search your deck for a 1 cost spell. Um, that becoming a 1 cost 1/2 search your deck for a spell, and of course you have the thing where you can reveal and deal 2 damage. I think it's pretty nice. This is just a really cool card. It's just a shame that it came out in like the most overtuned Rune set of all time, basically.
yeah, dude, you're on top of all the academic followers. I was like
Yeah,
trying to
yeah,
think of them, and I was like, you had lists of them already. Um,
yeah.
I wish like academic does get more support in the future, right? Like, and
Yeah,
that
yeah, it
actually,
gets the
yeah,
starter
it
deck, which I'm excited for, but
it is an archetype that I like, kind of like Resha was saying, but I'm kind of sad too that like this is how it was released. Basically, we're just like, here's 1 card here, here's 2 cards here, and
yeah,
like you never really got anything going until like maybe now is like when it starts kind of like falling together a bit. But yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I think pressure just kind of hit everything on the head for this card. I'm
I think
interested what you're gonna rate it actually.
um it's just it goes in every Rune deck that's not Kuon, and it might even go in Kuon. If you're like hard targeting some aggressive stuff. Like, I almost want to give it a B or an A. Like, it's an A because it's powerful. Yeah, I think it's an A because it's powerful, not meta warping. I just moved my box. It's powerful, not meta warping, and it's gonna just always be relevant because it's Rune's Dragon Warrior,
Yeah.
and it's way better statted, especially for Rune. Another aspect is it's a mage as well, so like you have the Truce Education stuff.
Mm.
So like if this lives, which it's likely to because it's have five health, you can do like a Merlin Evo Truth Education for 2 effects, which is pretty cool. Um, yeah, I'm giving it an A. That might be super high, but I'm giving it
Okay.
an A.
I feel like you're high. I'm like between a C, like a C and B, but I feel like it's more of a B is where I'm gonna be putting it. I
Yeah,
like everything about this card, except for the fact that its support has been like trickled down to us over time, and it
yeah,
and then unfortunately it's in this set. where like
Yeah.
it could possibly work in the Kuon deck, but it's not necessarily always like the first thought people put in for that deck as well. But yeah.
Yeah, the issue is all the academic cards we've gotten so far have been like in their era, so they're all like once we get I don't even want to call this a payoff, but sort of like the reason to play a bunch of academic cards.
Mhm.
It's like, well, we have to play Anne and Greya from set 2 that was not playable back then. So
Yeah.
it's like, what does that say about, nowadays? But I don't know, maybe I'll pull up to Grand Showdown with a full academic deck and then
Yo, let's go.
we'll
And with
see.
that one of card 2 for your Dodgers tickets, even
Yeah,
though you're not playing Forest,
yeah,
it's just in
yeah,
your deck list.
cheated that. I somehow find sleeves of the Elven Sentry and I get counts. Yeah.
Oh man. All right, next card here. Curse Crafters is a 4-drop 2/2, evolves for 1. Fanfare, summon a paper Shikigami token. Activate, put a Shikigami follower on your field into your cemetery. Select an enemy follower on the field and deal it 4 damage. You can't use activate abilities except evolve until the end of this turn. Then on the evolve side, select an enemy follower on the field, deal it 2 damage, and if there's at least 7 total spells or on Myoji cards in your cemetery, deal 4 damage instead, and then the same activate. The last text where it says you can't use activate abilities until the end of this turn, it's almost like not real text because you just make sure to sequence this last. I don't know how many times that actually coming up. Otherwise, this card is super great control, and it is quite annoying because it's very quickly you get up to 7 spell chain or having those cards in grave. So this is always kind of dealing 4. Really quick, I'll swap to the Shikigami 2, which is really powerful here. It's a 2-drop 2/2. It has last word, which is the last word effect is insane for obviously spell chain. Draw a card, then discard a card. So you get to trade in this 2/2 token to deal 4 immediately to like kind of shore up the board, and then you're left with this like either worst case scenario it's a 2/2. It's like you don't really mind because you're playing Rune and you're just kind of just like if this goes to the grave, that's great. It's just fueling you. Otherwise, it can get in for some chip damage. And then even on the Evo side, it's like a 3/3. Like it's the card is just still good because you're playing Kuon.
Yeah, this card is nutty. This is like this might be just the best card in the game that's like just in a vacuum because it's like obviously the fairy dragon feels like awful, is badly designed, but
Mhm.
this is just the best board removal we've ever seen easily. And for some reason it draws and discards a card basically, when you kill off your guy. I honestly don't know what more there is to say. It just does a ton of damage. It basically 3-for-1s. um what one thing I did want to mention is the translation I read of this card is it specifically said like can't use activate abilities on this card. So I don't think it's like you can't use activate abilities. Period. I think it's like you can't use this card's activate
Oh yeah, that's probably right. This is probably
but
mistyped here. That
but
makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, but that does again like that when it actually comes up and then you lose the game because it's not too funny. But
Yeah.
yeah, this card's just nutty. This card's just absurd.
Yeah. And then correct me if I'm wrong. This is the card too, like for the future. This is the card they hit, right? On the ban
Yeah, this
list.
is the card they hit. It gets hit at the end of the Idolmaster set. I know there was a lot of people saying it was going to get hit before. It wasn't. It was never going to, and I'm sure it will get hit out here, but it is in my mind. Like, would they even hit this? I'd be interested to see. It is just really good. It's really good at stopping aggression, but of course, it comes down on turn 4 or 5. So you do have to like have the other tools to um, deal with the early aggression beforehand. But this is sort of the cleanup phase, where you go, okay, well now you've sort of petered out. Now I just go boom, 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 and
Yeah.
things
This is the turn where you take back control. Like
yeah.
yeah, because usually Rune the first few turns, you depending how you open, you either can have some answers or not. But the turning point every time playing against the deck was when they hit the Curse Crafter turns, and then that's when I knew like I better finish this game soon or I'm going to lose.
Yeah, I will say it's just this card being so powerful, it is sort of frustrating because it's like the games you see this in the games you don't feel so just
So different.
completely it's just so different and you know but good card.
All right, next card.
Did I rate it S? Yeah, yeah, all right. Next card, Hulking Giant, 5 mana, 5/5, Fanfare, Earthright. Select enemy file on the field and deal it 5 damage. Last words, Earthright. Deal 3 damage to each enemy leader. Is this like the Marvel guy? Like, you know how Doctor Doom was revealed as Robert Downey Jr. He's gonna rip his mask off and he's Majerabane, but he's like way worse. This card sucks. I don't understand.
I don't
why did you
understand
play
it
this card over
either.
Jerry? Why did you play this card over Jerry?
I have no idea. Like, what, you're playing a golem deck, then you can play golems for 2. Is that the card?
Oh my
Does
god,
it 2
it's a 4 mana 5/5. Holy shit, bro! You gotta hide that tech next time, bro.
Oh,
What
man.
are you doing? You gotta hide that tech, man.
Oh my! This card is just, I don't understand it. Why is this even a gold? This is like a bronze.
I was gonna say, hey, it's taking up a gold.
They knew Kuon was too good. They couldn't give them anything else. And Cursecrafted Jesus.
Yeah.
All right, here. There's a 2-drop spell. Shikigami Summons. Summon a paper Shikigami token. If there are at least 7 total spells or Omnyoji cards in your cemetery, draw a card. I hate this card. It's just so good. Like, I don't know what you want me to say. It plays into the deck strategy. A lot of times you will start getting the draw fairly quickly off this card. So it just replaces itself and then gives you one of those tokens that lets you draw drop once again. It's, yeah. Like, I don't know what you want me to say any more than that. You got anything to add, Pressure?
It's like they just added 3 just super overtuned cards to this archetype, and this card is just so strong. It's played in like it's really hard to argue not playing it in like other rune decks as well, because you just go like you filter so much and you go, do you go plus? Oh, it has this math work, so you go 1. No, you don't go plus, but it's just neutral at least, right? Because you draw the card,
like,
and then when it dies, you draw and discard. You know, and it just
the part of this card that doesn't make sense to me when I first read this card, I was like, why does this cost 2? It's like it's just, it should be 3. Like, that's what I feel like when I read this card. It feels like it should be a 3-cost card.
Yeah,
but it's definitely shorter mana. I feel like it's just, yeah.
Yeah, not much to say. It's just really strong. Yeah.
All right.
Alrighty, Demoncaller, 3 mana, 3/3, Evo for 1. Whenever a Shikigami follower is put onto your field, so those are the tokens, give it +1 attack and rush, and then on evolve, you summon a paper Shikigami token. That's the 2/2. This guy's really interesting because early in sort of this meta, he wasn't played a lot, and then in the next meta, he was played in almost every deck. And definitely the next meta, in the Idolmaster meta, people figured out the Kuon deck more than they did in this set. I am kind of iffy on him, to be honest. And again, this goes back into the what are you trying to play around? What are you trying to quote unquote lose to? This card sucks in the mirror match. This card's really bad in the mirror match, actually. And he's also pretty bad against fairies. He's actually like really bad against fairies because you just have 2 bodies that if they don't have anything tapped, this doesn't do anything. That's sort of why I like some of these other cards like the Mysteria, where it's like this sort of same deck slot and timing, but it directly impacts the board. This is just sort of board fill, and you definitely have hands where it's like, well, this is the game I'm going to play for the board and stuff. But in reality, those are like quote unquote bad hands, right? Like those aren't the hands you're playing the deck for. So I don't know. I actually think this is like one of the weaker Shikigami cards or Onryoji cards. And I don't think it's like an auto include. But I think when you make the first 40 card deck list, you're putting him in, and then I think from there, depending on how you want to build the deck, what decks you're targeting, he's one of the first two to go.
Yeah, I think you've nailed everything. I don't know if there's even anything really for me to add. It definitely feels like this is the weakest card, and it's definitely like one of the like first cards that comes out of the deck list when I'm like editing the deck list.
Yeah.
Yeah. Its biggest strength is that it has Omyoji trait.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna give it a B.
Yeah, I think that's about right. Next card, 2-drop 1/4 traditional sorcerer. Whenever Shikigami Flower is put onto your field, give it ward. Fanfare. If there are at least 7 total spells or Omyoji cards in your cemetery, summon a paper Shikigami token, give your leader +2 health. This is another card, again, that just reads very, very powerful. It being a 1/4 means it's going to get in for 1 or 2 damage before it's just off the board a lot of the times. And 4 health is just really, really annoying. I don't know if I have much else to add other than that. Do you have anything?
Yeah, it's this is just another card that's like it feels really sick. It's a win more card. It's a win more
Mhm.
card. When you're winning, this feels absurd, like really strong. When you're losing, this is might like might lose you the game because you have a card that does nothing in your hand.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times where it's like if this was any spell in the entire game, it'd be better. Um, so I like this, and again, how you want to build the deck, how you want to do stuff. I think this goes into just the base list
Mhm.
before cuts and stuff happen. But I think this is like the second or third card to be cut. Um, but I don't know. I've been favoring like a Kuon deck that is Merlin is the only non Shikigami or spell or sorry Onmyoji or spell card in the entire deck, and I've liked it a lot. I just think it's dies pretty hard to Fairy Forest and the aggression. I've been building another deck that sort of cuts these two cards, the Demon Call and the traditional sorceress for more board control and stuff. And I think that's going to be just the main thing is like, hey, do you want this sort of win more card? Pretty good in the mirror as well. Um, another paper Shikigami, source, but you got to get to 7, and 7 is a lot. 7's a lot, and it does
Mhm.
nothing if you're not at 7. So I don't know. I think it's an A for me because I think it's better than Demoncaller, and it's still a really strong card, but it's and it doesn't take an Evo slot.
Yeah.
But it's just we're in such a weird meta that's like you just have to think about so many things.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah.
Um, I think I kind of agree with you, especially for this specific meta and stuff. Oh, mostly because like I do rate it very similarly to Demon Caller or whatever, but
Yeah.
um, the difference here is that this is good in the mirror, and then Demon Caller isn't good in the mirror, and that's what I think makes
Yeah.
the
Exactly.
difference.
Yeah.
Like you
Exactly.
said. All right, next card here.
All right. Crimson Meteor Storm, 7 mana, spell chain 10. This card costs 2 less to play. Deal 6 damage to each enemy following the field. Deal 3 damage to each enemy leader. This card is really strong. This card is really strong. This is a really, really, really strong card. It hits over 5. It hits that 6 mark, which is pretty important. Dealing the 3 damage as well. This I don't like this card because it's too late against Forest, but it's so absurdly good in the mirror match. It's the mirror breaker card. It
Yeah,
is the card that is do I have this card or not in the mirror, and that's what decides it. Um I again, this is in the category of it's a really strong card, but if you're targeting Forest or other aggressive decks, you're never getting to 5, or you're never getting this to 5 in a reasonable amount of time. It's just not happening. Maybe
yeah,
some Heinlein decks. But other than that, I don't think so. Maybe Daria. No, even Daria. Like I guess it's pretty good in Star with Daria, right? You get like Daria, but then that's the same turn that it comes down. So
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I really strong card. It's probably an S, but it's just if it's not in a deck, I wouldn't be like shocked.
Yeah, it's a very interesting card. it's basically a board wipe, like almost a guaranteed board wipe, because once you hit after past 5, it's just like they kind of like everything's gone.
Yeah.
It's like a one-sided conflict that also helps with the extra reach to do like 3 extra damage to push a little bit more as well. It's just so on game plan and so good. It probably is an S. It almost does feel wrong giving it an S though, in a way.
Yeah, it's just because our meta is so crazy,
Yeah.
that we're going into that it's like it's just because the game got so fast so quick.
Mhm.
Every other meta, this is gonna be pretty good. And again, even in some builds where you're like turbo, milling stuff, I could see it as well. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's an S just because it's such a strong card.
It is. It does feel. It definitely feels like an S, but or it is like an S card, but it just feels wrong. Also giving an S at the same time, but it's so hard not to.
Yeah.
All right, moving on here. All right, Talisman Disciple, 1-drop, 1/1. Last word: search the deck for Shikigami Summons, reveal it, and add it to your hand. This is probably the worst Shikigami card that won't be in the deck. Is this even played that often? I can't in the games I've been playing. I don't remember if I even seen this card in my opponent's list yet.
I've never seen it played. I think this might be an even better mirror breaker card than the Crimson Meteor Storm. And the reason I say that is because it's a 1/1. Either they're going to spend their removal to give you the best card in your deck, because Shikigami Summons is the best card in your deck most of the time, especially if you're playing like a really full Omyoji, build.
Yeah.
Or you're gonna get like 3 or 4 damage in, and really that margin is really important. That's why healing in the more like mirror centered version with the concentration and the traditional sorceress is real important, because it's like sometimes the games end up being, hey, I just need to survive a Kuon swing. Like I need to get to a health range where I'm surviving the Kuon swing. And really the Talisman's Disciple is going to, again, either get 3 to 4 damage in or draw you the best card in your deck. And I think that's really strong. It is awful in every other matchup. It is horrendous. It's so bad. So it's obviously not like any crazy S, even an A. It's probably a B, in my opinion, and that might be high, but I'm gonna give it a B.
I feel like that's a bit high. I'm more on the C side. I think it's always kind of like worth considering if you're in this archetype. And
Yeah.
but outside of that, it's just like I do feel like this is probably the worst card out of every one of them for the archetype. But
Yeah. I think like the reason I've given it a B is because it's like amazing against like probably the best deck in the game, and
yeah,
like that's sort of why for me like it's one tier higher, because it's like you're not targeting just some random deck. It's like it's probably the best deck in the game,
yeah.
most likely. So
All right, next card.
all right, Charming Gentlemouse, 2 mana, 2/2, Evo for 1. Fanfare, spend 2 play points, search your deck for a Charming Gentlemouse and put it onto your field. On evolve, select the enemy file on the field and deal it X damage. X equals twice the number of Charming Gentlemouse on your field. This is a pretty cool card. I actually think this is really cool. It's like we've been talking about these basically textless 2 mana 2/2s that evo and deal 2 damage, and then hey, later in the game at turn 4 you get 2 of these and it deals 4. It scales pretty well. Too bad it has no trait. Like that's the issue. Is it just not traded and it's not a spell? I wish this is some Onmyoji mouse, but
Yeah,
alas, I don't think this is good enough in Rune. I think this is the only class that would not want a card like this.
yeah. I agree with it all.
I think it's pretty unplayable. I don't think it's because even in like because Rune is one of the more heavy synergy based decks. Like 'cause even in like Earthright, you can't play this because it's not an Earthright card.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
All right, Next card here. We got a 2-drop 2/3 Passionate Potioneer. Fanfare and last words, summon a magic sediment token, and then trade Alchemist. I mean, this is horrendous, right?
What? This is I was honestly gonna give this an S. This is the best. This is the best Earthright card in the game. Yeah, I'm not joking. I'm not joking. This is the best Earthright card in the game. Fully statted fighter that summons 2 sediments. That's absurd because you have a higher chance to hit your perfect card. You know your because we're still living in the universe where some crazy guy that might not have shuffled their deck fully well, goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and you lose because they hit the perfect curve. This fills the curve extremely well. You have the illusionist from last set. I think this card's insane. I think this card's insane for Earthright. I'm surprised you think this is like unplayable.
The
I
problem,
think this card's absurd.
I think the issue here is like I have almost 0 Earthright experience, so I'm not even.
Yeah.
So like I don't realize how important the curve is on this. Like I know the deck does have to curve out, but because I'm not playing the deck, maybe I've never seen like how the turns actually play out. And I think I've barely played against Earthright in general for quite a while now.
I mean, it only would be set 1, but the Earthright still just has cards that are like, and we see it. We see it in modern. In JP, like Earthright is. They got a couple cards, but they're still rocking with some of the OG stuff.
Yeah.
And like just imagine like this makes the turn 3 Ancient Alchemist so much easier because you're playing this, you're playing your other Earthright generators, and then you go like now you have 6 2-drop options for 9 because you have the Crafty Warlock, but you probably cut the Warlock, but you have the 2-drop the Alchemist Workshop, and you have this, and then you go into your Alchemist or your 4/6 ward. I think this is like the one, like we haven't gotten good Earthright cards in a while, and then they hit us with like just the best, probably the best Earthright card we've gotten in 5 sets. I think this is an S just because it's the best card in the archetype. Because it's just it just does everything you'd ever want in an Earthright card. It's not the payoff, but the issue with Earthright was always the consistency, and this solves so much of it. So I'm giving it an S. People might go, "What the hell are you talking about?" in the comments, but and then you also like because you have this, and you still have access to. Low key one of the best cards in the game, the gingerbread house, that ended up getting limited, in JP, and I think the thing I like about this is with Earthright, it's just the sleeping giant. I think just once you wake it up, it's a little scary. You got the magic illusions, you got the concentration, you still the Ancient Alchemist, you still have the 4/6, you have the Felice, you have the Wizards of Oz, which is still really high value. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just boy who cried wolf, but I don't know.
The biggest issue for me is just like I don't think I have enough experience on Earthright to actually understand how powerful this does actually play out.
Because we saw what set was it? Set 4 was the set when we got some of the Mimi Earthright cards. We joked about like the Mage of the Nightfall, which was like the Intimidate one, and then the Astrologist, which was the Rousing Step.
Yeah.
Now the Mage of Nightfall is pretty bad, but now imagine the Astrologist happening almost twice as often, and it's just twice as likely to, all my guys are just good now, I don't know. Earthright aggro, maybe. We'll see, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just completely off my rocker, but we'll see.
I'll split the difference with you. I'll give it a B because I legit don't know enough about Earthright to fully understand how good it is going to be in it. So I'm just gonna go a bit off of what you and kind of defer to you there because I barely played Earthright or even remember half the cards of them anymore.
For sure.
All right, moving on here.
All right, Golems Rampage, 2 mana. Put a Golem follower on your field into your cemetery. Deal 3 damage to each enemy leader and enemy follower on the field. Oh my gosh! Imagine if this was Earthright. Imagine if this was Earthright. Could you imagine curving this
Oh my
from
god.
the Potioneer?
Yeah.
It's just so bad because it's like you don't have early Golem generators outside of the ancient or the Alchemist Workshop. It's really sick though because it's like the AOE. It beats the fairy, so it still doesn't kill the fairy dragon, but it beats a lot of the stuff. But this card just kind of sucks. It does free up like space for the Ancient Alchemist turns where you go like Ancient Alchemist Evo and you have like a couple golems so you can like and your board's full so you can like kill one of your golems off and then get the 3 damage and then play another one,
Yeah.
which is pretty interesting. But I don't know. I don't think this is the way.
Yeah. I basically agree with you on everything, and remind me if I'm wrong. This card will cost 1 less with that one card that makes golems cost 1 less or whatever, right? Because
Does the Ancient Alchemist say cards? Because then that might change my opinion of it. Let me look.
yeah, because I think it said cards. That's what I was trying to think right now. Does this card get discounted?
Have we ever gotten a Golem card? I guess is the question. Oh, it's an evolve card. Sorry, hold on. I know this is great for the video. Silence. No, it's followers.
It's followers? Okay, yeah. That was
oh, bro.
yeah. For a second, that's what I was thinking. I was like, wait.
We almost entered the zone where I'm taking Earthright to the Grand Zone. Oh man.
Oh, that would be so sick. Oh, this card would be really good if it only cost 1 because of that.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's I'm gonna give it a D. I don't think it's an F.
Yeah, I think it could see play occasionally, like in that niche scenarios. All right, final card here. Wait, was it me or
I think it's you.
Okay. 3-drop Amulet, Mirror of Truth. It has stack and then fanfare. Select the Alchemist flower that originally costs 3 or less play points in your cemetery and put it onto your field. Card is pretty insanely good, right? Because one of your biggest target is the Alchemist, right? Yeah, Ancient Alchemist. Yeah. And then not to like get in the future and stuff, but I believe this card is played also in the future as well.
Yeah, because you get the Steriduen back.
Yeah.
The really cracked one.
Yeah.
Right now, it's pretty much the ones you're looking for is your 3-mana 4/6, the Runic Guardian, and the Ancient Alchemist. And then of course the Potioneer, but obviously that's a little like lower on the stats or whatever. So I think the issue right now is just there's just not enough Alchemists where this thing is that good. You also don't sort of get like the discount of it, right? Because it's like it's like, do you need multiple copies of the Ancient Alchemist? Yes, but you want to see them. You don't need them like in because like if you play Ancient Alchemist and it dies, what's the game where you need 2 Ancient Alchemists? I don't know. Getting the Runic Guardian back is pretty nice because it just automatically becomes the 4/6, because it just eats this card, which I kind of like. The Remy also, which is the one that summons a golem and gives it +2 attack, but obviously you have to evolve. So I don't know. I don't think this card is that good right now, but of course it becomes really, really strong later.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with all that. I only see this as like the 4th and 5th copy of Ancient Alchemist essentially in the deck whenever I see this card right now.
I mean, maybe like if you mill it and then you play, is that what you want to do? I don't know.
Yeah.
What do we give it? Are we talking about like current meta, or are we talking about like just the general like power of the card? I don't know.
I think just do the general power of the card because I mean this does, because this does see play later on in one of the strongest decks later on in the future meta.
Yeah. And it's also like even if we're like don't think about the future meta, we can easily just say, okay, the next time they make a good alchemist, it's on.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. Well, that is the last card here, wrapping everything up. We have some Twitter/X handles or whatever you want to call them there for all of us. Unfortunately, Shepard is not here to finish out Rune. But thanks as always, Presha, for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It was a lot of fun. This one was a lot of fun. Definitely
Yeah.
the Potioneer is
Potioneer one is like, yeah, I have no idea, so I'm really interested to see how that one actually turns out in the end,
Yeah.
and whether people are going to experiment more with Dirt Rune in general, even on the side in this meta.
Yeah.
All right, but with that being said, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that. Otherwise, we hope to see you guys in the next video. Later, everyone.
Bye-bye.